Hello everyone, Zero Trance here. I hope you're doing well. This will probably be a shorter one, though we'll see if that happens. Uh, long story short, I got a new Kitbash done for the Warband, though it took a slightly different form than I initially intended. So as I said in the last video, I wanted a kind of a warband leader, like a designated leader for the warband, and I was originally thinking it was going to be some kind of pistolier bounty hunter guy. That changed a little bit last minute for a number of reasons. But first things first, let's show him off. I don't have a name for this guy yet, but I think he came out pretty good. If he'll come into focus. And I don't really have a name or backstory for him yet, but this is what I ended up coming up with. He is mostly the guard, one of the guards from the guard set from Wargames Atlantic Fantasy Classic line, or Classic Fantasy line, the newer one. And those arms are Free Guild Steel Helms from Age of Sigmar. So yeah, like I said before, he was originally going to be a pistolier. I was originally going to use another Wargames Atlantic set to accommodate for that. But there were a number of reasons why I decided last minute to not go with that. The first one being cost effectiveness. I had these arms, sword, and shield from Bitsbox. I ordered that a while ago. They were originally going to be for Mord, but they ended up not being for Mord. And since they're from the UK, they would have been a challenge to just return for a refund. It wouldn't have really been worth it. So I decided to just make use of what I already had. And yeah, and instead of, buying another kit just for 2 pistols. The second reason is, well, let's be real. Not even like for okay, maybe for darker fantasy, there can be like firearms present, like early stage firearms, like flintlocks and stuff. But not every game is gonna have that. But like any fantasy game, no matter what genre, is gonna have sword and ward, and that'll make him just be able to fit better in more games. Yes, you could reflavor like a crossbow or something, but it's not always going to satisfy the fantasy of being a cool, like, gun-toting badass. And maybe part of it is just a little bit of min-maxing on my side, but I don't know what stats this guy's going to have. In fact, I think he looks like an older chap. He might not even be that strong. I think he's more of a tactician kind of guy. Lead from behind. I think but no, still able to hold his own, somewhat. And the third was, what was the third reason? Oh shoot, I can't remember what the third reason was. That might have just been both. Oh yeah, the third reason was I don't think a suave, like dual pistol wielding guy really worked for this warband idea of, kind of, outcast rejects kind of individuals. Because it's very much inspired by Vermintide. Or at least it came to be very much inspired by Vermintide. And, not to say that the people in Vermintide aren't cool, but they're not immediate, like, unless you're playing, like, their special classes, they're not immediately, like, awesome, like, idealized, awesome heroes. And I think just a cool guy, loaded with flintlocks or repeater rifles or whatever, a la, I mean, I basically almost made this guy a fantasy version of the Mandalorian. But I decided not to. because I don't think it really worked for the Warband idea. I think this kind of older gent who's maybe seen a lot of years, a lot of combat, and maybe is a little kind of tired, but also, like an older mercenary captain, I think just worked better with sword and board. Um, and I'm already getting ideas of what this guy could be like, maybe almost like Marcus Kruger, except even more depressed somehow, but still kind of, proper. And, well, I don't know if. Anyway. So yeah, that's what I ultimately went with. The Pistolier idea could still happen, but maybe for just a different character or a different warband. Because who says I only need to make one character? Or who says I only need to make 5 characters or one warband, Maybe maybe if one character dies, he could be like a replacement or something, or she could, as the case may be. But as it stands now, yeah, this dude is the warband leader. Now, that's not all. That's not all we have for today, or tonight, or whatever. I did paint the 2 miniatures from last time, Mord and Coletta. So here's Mord. A friend of mine said that he thought it was a Dark Souls boss at first, and I totally see that, because it wasn't until like after I had finished painting him in all bronze that's like, oh my gosh, this guy is just Executioner Smo from Dark Souls 1, except with an arming sword. He definitely has that vibe, and in a way, I think that was kind of a subconscious. I think that was a subconscious inspiration for him, because there was this old animated series back when Dark Souls was first getting really popular, and Smo had this really high pitched voice, and that I know that was direct inspiration for Mord having this kind of Mickey Mouse style falsetto. But as for him like being kind of like this golden bronze color, like that was probably more subconscious than anything else. And of course, can't forget Coletta. As I said, she kind of has this faux Christianity kind of crucifix symbol on her shield. If that's a real symbol, that is totally coincidence, or I subconsciously copied it, but I don't think it is. You guys can let me know. It was kind of inspired by the rosette from Warhammer, the Rosetta, or whatever it's called, the Rosette, I think. But as for if it's like an actual symbol that exists, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know how well it shows up here, but I did paint in her eyes a little bit. She's kind of looking sidelong, or like kind of like a side glance, but it's not focusing. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. You can kind of see it, but whatever. I decided those flasks are of holy water, or mana potions, or whatever. Probably holy water, because she is a cleric, or that kind of archetype. So yeah, this gives us 4 characters. Already that would kind of be enough. You can already do a lot with 4 characters, but like I said, this is mainly kind of for Forbidden Psalm, and you need 5 characters for Forbidden Psalm. So I have one more left to make. She will probably be some form of mage. I'm thinking, just because it could be fun to have a dedicated spellcaster, and again, you could probably argue that. You probably argue that Coletta here could be a spellcaster, but I don't know. I don't think she's. I don't think she screams spellcaster to me. She's very much more just warrior, priestess, whatever, nun, as opposed to magician. And yeah, so anyway, a bit of a shorter one, and so thank you all for watching. If you watched this far, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you hopefully someday soon. Goodbye.